Hello, 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 everybody. Come on in. Hello, hello, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you may be in this world, because we have viewers all over. So come on in. It is, well, today is it's Monday Motivation or Motivation Monday, which is affiliated with Talk Tuesday. So we normally have Talk Tuesday on Tuesday. And so tonight we just having a special night of Talk Tuesday, which is on Monday. So come on, and this is a very, very special, very, very special show tonight. Or you can call it an interview, or you can call it a conversation. So very, very special tonight. So come on in, and join us. Again, it's a very, very special. We're gonna call it Motivation Monday. It is Monday. I hope you guys had a good weekend. So come on in. Glad to have you. My regular viewers, come on in, give me a comment, let me know that you are here. I hope you had a good day today. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a restful weekend, I would say. I had an awesome time at church yesterday. And so it's Monday. And what a way to start a Monday with an incredible story, an incredible testimony of a good friend. And I want you all to come in and to listen to this story, this journey, this testimony. Going to be very, very encouraging tonight. And so, listen. I saw her on Instagram and didn't know quite what was going on with her, and so I just kind of start following. And boy, oh boy, all I can say is God's miracle. And so I am so elated to have our guest come on tonight. We've been friends for some years. We met through fellowship. And yeah, I'm so excited for you all to hear her journey and her testimony. I have several people that were waiting for this interview conversation since I put up the promotion and the flyer. And so yeah, so it's going to be awesome. Listen, share this conversation. We are also on YouTube. Hey YouTube. So we are also on YouTube, Facebook Live. So come on and let me know that you are here. Let me see who's coming in there. Of course, my regulars. Hello Early, my twin sister. Hello Debbie also. Hey, see, my regulars are coming in tonight. Thank you all so much. I thank God for giving me the vision again of Talk Tuesday. And so I'm excited for all of my guests, and I thank them for coming on Talk Tuesday and to share. Hello, hello, my new friends. Yeah, come on in, and it's going to be a good, a motivational and encouragement and inspiration conversation tonight. And I was just talking to my guest backstage, and I told her, listen, it's laid back. It's a laid back conversation. And I really, really wanted her to come on to share. She looks good. Listen, oftentimes we don't look like what we've been through, right, Nash? We don't, Earlene. Y'all know we don't often look like what we've been through. And so, again, I wanted to bring on my guest. I'll let her introduce herself. She'll come on. But again, we've been friends for some years. We fellowshiped together for some years. And listen, I wanted to know her story too. You know how you see people on social media and they talk about it, but I wanted to hear too. So, listen, without further ado, I'm going to bring my friend on so you all can meet her. Hey, Ange, my other regular. Hello. Everybody, this is Christen Mitchell. She's going to introduce herself, but this is Christen Mitchell, and again, she has a phenomenal testimony. And listen, all the time, God gives me people who I'm going to ask to be on Talk Tuesday. We know it's Monday, y'all. It's Monday motivation, okay? So special. So, Christian, hello, hello, hello.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for creating this space. It's
Oh, thank
beautiful.
you so much. This is a special Monday motivation. Again, we normally have our talks on Talk Tuesday, but I wanted this to be something special. not just for me, but for the viewers, Christian. And so, again, we are so happy that you joined us here tonight. So, everybody, I said this is Christian Mitchell, but Christian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, like she said, I'm Christen Mitchell. I am 35 years old. I always like to say I'm 16 at heart because I
Me
won't
too.
grow up. I'm 35 years old. I am the mother of a very special 9-year old. My Eli, that's my heart.
Yes.
Um, and I'm very close with my family, my parents, my sisters, my brother-in-laws, my nieces, my niece. I have one niece and nephews. So I'm all about family. I'm
Yeah.
all about community, and I'm all about Jesus. So
Absolutely. Listen, yay for Jesus.
yes.
So, I was telling my viewers that, watch you on social media, and I was, wondering like everybody else, hey, what's going on with Christian? And then start seeing you talk about your story and your journey. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We don't know it all, but we want to find a little bit tonight. So, and we know that you have a liver disease. You've had a liver transplant. So let's kind of get into it a little bit. When was the first time like you realized like something is wrong? You know how often we's like, oh, don't feel good. I got an ache here, headache, whatever. But when was the first time like you really realized, listen, something is going on?
So it was actually years ago.
Mhm.
Like around 2018, I was going to the emergency room a couple times just because I felt off. Every
Mhm.
time I would go, they would tell me like I was dehydrated or it would just be something like that, and they would give me an IV and send me on my way.
Mm.
But then it wasn't until and then after that I kind of stopped because then I was
Mhm.
just paying co-pays, and who wants to just keep paying
Yeah.
to go and be told like,
Right.
to drink some water. So I stopped going even though I still have those moments of not feeling well. And then
Mhm.
in 2024, I'm getting my years mixed up since we're in the
That's
beginning
okay.
of 2026. In 2024, my mom was the one who started saying things to me like, your skin is getting really dark, your eyes
Mm.
are yellow, you're this, and mom's pick, so sometimes you're just like, she just wants me to do better, but I'm too tired or whatever.
Mhm.
But I would notice certain things but just brush them off. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
tired all the time, but like I said, I'm a single mom, so
Mhm.
I'm like, that's part of it. I gained a lot of weight, but I was like, I'm getting
Mhm.
older. You gain weight as you get
Mhm.
older. I'm not as active, so there was something that I would there was an excuse for every symptom I was
Okay.
seeing. And then finally in October of 2024,
Mm.
I was at the senior inauguration for the students at Randallstown High School. And I was sitting on the stage and I could feel my face like tingling. And the
Mhm.
next morning I woke up and the whole left side of my face, I couldn't move. So I thought I was having a
Wow.
stroke.
A stroke.
So,
Mhm.
and I was like, I'm about to die. I'm having a stroke. My son was like, Mommy, you look like The Rock, like how The Rock would do the eye.
Oh
And
my
I'm like, I'm
gosh.
not doing it on purpose. And so they told me that it was Bell's palsy, which is
Yeah,
just
I've
like
heard of
a,
that. Right.
yeah, which is just like
Mhm.
a thing. So I'm like, okay, they're like, it'll go away. But I happened to go see another doctor.
Mm.
Um, because my doctor wasn't available at the time, the one who had been
Mhm.
telling me everything was fine. She wasn't available. So I went to see a newer doctor in the office, and he happened to like be a classmate of my younger sister. And we were just chatting, and he was looking through my labs as we chatted. And he was the one who said, your liver enzymes are really high. They've been
Uh,
elevated for years. No one said anything. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. So,
right. Right.
so yeah, so he was the one that got the ball rolling. So I
Mhm.
did have side effects, but because they were ignored when I went to the hospital, I started ignoring them too. And
Mm.
so really God had to be like, all right, let me just sit you down for a
Yes.
second. So, so you
Yeah.
get it checked out.
What was the diagnosis? You're going to these
Yeah.
visits, appointments. What was the
Yes.
diagnosis?
So, and it wasn't until March of 2025 that I got diagnosed because then I had to
Okay.
do a bunch of tests to figure out what it was.
Mhm.
But I was eventually diagnosed with primary sclerosing cholangitis, which
Mhm.
is it's an autoimmune-ish type disease. They haven't,
Mhm.
it's not a lot known about it, so they haven't really said it's autoimmune.
Okay.
But it acts like that. It's autoimmune in nature where it attacks your body. It's not
Mhm.
like a lot of times when people think liver disease, they think you're like an
Yeah.
alcoholic or something like
Right.
that. This
Yeah.
is just your body just chooses to attack the bile
Yeah.
ducts in your liver. So That's the diagnosis. They call it PSC. It's
PSC.
very rare. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, primary sclerosing cholangitis, which is a mouthful. So PSC.
You know, you said that, once you went to the appointment, they found what it was, but it had been like that for years. Could
Yes.
you?
So
Yeah,
when I was diagnosed, the doctors actually told me that it looks like I've had it since at least 2018. So then I'm like, all
really.
those emergency room visits, I'm like, there was something
Wow.
to it. I was feeling something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was living with liver disease, and it got bad
They got
in
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
2024, bad enough for
mm-hmm.
people to start noticing.
Well, one thing we thank God for the protection because it could have went the other way.
Right.
It,
It
it
could
could
have,
have,
yeah.
yeah, it could have went the other way. And I was reading up on it a little bit, and
Mhm.
it talks about the autoimmune disease, but it's also like it gives like different treatments, medication,
Mhm.
procedures, but also liver transplant.
Yeah.
So did that come up right away, or did you get really, really sick and then it came to that conclusion?
So by the time I was diagnosed, I was already in stage 4 liver cirrhosis, which is
Wow.
like at that point you need a liver transplant.
Okay.
So when they diagnosed me in March, they in the same conversation they were like, "You're going to need a liver transplant."
Wow.
And at the time, my MELD score was like a 23, and the MELD
Mm-hmm.
score is how they determine where you are at on the list for
Mm-hmm.
transplant. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically they basically determine it by like end stage liver disease, like how close you are to dying in the next 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like the higher your MELD score, and it goes up to I think about like 60. So the higher your MELD score, the more likely you are to need a liver transplant. And usually
Okay.
once you get to about 30, that's
Yeah.
when they're like, you need a transplant now. And I was at 23 when they diagnosed
So,
me.
so you were almost really at that
Yes.
limit to, with me, of course, diagnosed at age 3 with cancer, went through ostomy
Mhm.
surgery, wearing ostomy bags, but fighting a disease can be emotionally, right?
Yeah.
It can be. But then you talk about physical because you talked about like your face.
Mhm.
Like, how did you handle that? You wake up one morning and your face is like swollen. You're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Us as women,
Mhm.
we like, come on now. Like, how did you handle that? Because that came first initially.
Yeah, so it was the physical part with this disease. They
Hmm.
call it like an invisible disease because a lot
Okay.
of the symptoms and the things you feel, like I said, appear as something that you can mask as something else. So it's like I had weight gain because I was
Hmm.
holding fluid in my body, but it was like,
Okay.
okay, I'm taking birth control. I'm not moving as much as I used to, so I'm gaining weight.
Uh,
And like things like that. I was very itchy. That was the only thing that like the itching and the abdominal pain was the only thing I couldn't really explain away.
mm,
But it did make me really low. Like in for years, I was in like what I call my pit.
okay.
And now realizing I'm like this disease was a part of it. Part of the things like I was like, I'm not pretty. People
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
notice me. I'm gaining a lot of weight. I can't get rid of it. So it did play on like my emotions as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But one thing I did that helped manage it is I did like pastoral counseling at my church.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
my campus pastor told me something that I kind of held on to and I still listen to. He's like, feelings are temporary. That's an
Yeah.
emotion.
Mhm.
We have to hold on to the promise of God. What has God
Yeah.
said? What did He tell
Yes.
you is going to happen? Those things. And so that's what I held on to, especially after being diagnosed, because I remember feeling kind of like a peace when they gave me the diagnosis at first. You
Yes.
would think you'd be like terrified,
Yes.
but it was a peace for me because it was like it has a name now, and it's like
Mhm.
if it has a name, I can pray over it.
Mhm.
I can read up when I know what it is. I know what the
Yeah.
enemy is. So it gave me a peace, and I remember hearing God clearly say, "And you'll be okay." And
Yeah.
so it was like I knew in that moment, like I'm not gonna die. I'm not all those thoughts that I normally would have.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yes.
come right away because of that comfort of knowing like what it is and
Yes.
God telling me, and this is not the end.
Yeah.
So those things in the beginning helped me, but of course over time, we're like Peter on the water. We start looking down. I'm like, I know he said I'm okay, but this ain't
Yes.
really looking
Yes. Yes. Yes.
good. And the symptoms got worse. I mean, like the itchiness was so bad. Like, I
Wow.
would be like scratching my skin all the time. I had accommodations at work where I would be able to leave if my pain got too bad.
Yes.
And it started getting really bad. And I'm
Yeah.
like looking around, and with the liver, you can have someone donate piece of a liver to you, but nobody was a match. Like, my family was ready to do it.
Really?
Nobody was a match, or nobody was healthy enough. My parents weren't, you have to be in a certain age
Certain
range. My
age,
parents
right.
were too old. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just frustrating. And it's like, I'm not going to get this. And then you're like, I don't want
Right.
anybody to die for me to get a
Right.
liver.
Yes,
So it
right.
did get discouraging, but it really was my faith and just holding on
Yes.
to, that
Yes.
these feelings are temporary, that everything I'm
Yes.
thinking about is temporary. It's just a trick of the enemy trying to make me
Oh,
think of that
absolutely.
instead of,
Absolutely.
thinking on what God promised me. So,
And I would do the same thing too. Not, and I mean, most of my life dealing with low self esteem because of something that was not my fault,
right.
right? It wasn't my fault, nobody's fault that I got cancer. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so we go through those emotions, but those emotions are valid as well. Because
Right.
a lot of times we try to run from those emotions,
Hmm.
but you're going to go back and they're going to be there again. One thing that I like that you just said was uh, like seeking out help,
Hmm.
spiritual advice, because we need that support is very, very important. Let me ask, how was your family, how was their support? I know, your mom and dad, I know they protectors and they love and
Hmm.
they nurture us and they care for us, but really it takes a toll on them as well.
Yeah. I think it was rough for my family, one, because I was emotional, and like the
Mhm.
medications and things like that make you're hostile, you're this, you're that. I'm angry, I'm snapping on people, and then I'm nice all of a
Yeah.
sudden. So like that's hard, and they're trying to be supportive. And it
Yeah.
was something that nobody in my family had ever experienced.
Wow.
So it's something that it's like, I'm feeling like they don't understand, and they want to understand, and they,
Yeah. Yeah.
they want to be there. I will say, my parents have really been like my rock through this whole
Yeah.
thing. My mommy, I always call my mommy my Naomi. I'm like, I'm the root, and
Oh.
that's Naomi. Where you go,
Yes.
I go. Your people will be my people.
Yes.
But my mom was with me like through the whole thing.
Mhm.
She'd take off work, be at the hospital appointments,
Yeah.
asking questions.
Yes.
She'd be in the bed with me. She got a whole nice bed.
Mhm.
She'd be in my bed and rubbing my back, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, she, really took care of me. My dad really, kicked in. He
Mhm.
took care of me, made sure my mom could take breaks when she needed to.
Yeah.
My sisters, when it came time for the transplant, everybody was here. Like
Mhm.
I was still in the hospital for Thanksgiving. They came, they
Yeah.
had Thanksgiving in the hospital with
Oh my
me.
gosh.
Like everybody was coming down. One day, my brother-in-law, my older sister's husband, he just popped
Yeah.
up in the hospital on me just because he was driving by. My sister that's
Yes.
in New York, when they came down, it was like,
Mhm.
okay, like I'm tired. Can you guys leave? Like it was like trying to get them out the hospital room, but they
Right.
call, they check in. It got to the point eventually I sent like a group message like, hey guys, I'll update you on my day. So, because it's a lot of them. But
Yeah.
like even my son was like, and that was where most of my concern was like,
Yeah.
how is this going to impact him? But
Right.
it just showed through. Like it was one of, I call my mommy wins, because those are like
Yeah.
moments where you see as a mom you're doing well.
Yeah.
And I was so concerned about him through this whole process, and he
Mhm.
just showed me how mature he was, how
Yeah.
how strong his faith was, how he was able to handle it.
Yes.
Like and I didn't want him to feel like a little man that had to take care of mommy, but
Yes.
he does need to learn how to help and serve others as well,
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
as a
Mhm.
Christian. And I could see that he had that and that he was okay. So it kind of gave me that peace of like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm doing well as a mom too. Like,
Yes.
so my family really kicked in.
Yeah.
I think it was my mom was there with me when I got the diagnosis, and I think I could see it was hard
Okay.
for her.
Yeah.
She tried to act like it wasn't like I mean, she was, but I could see it like welling up in her, and
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like as a mom, I can only
Oh,
imagine
absolutely.
and you would want to take your child's place.
Yep, the
Um,
same thing with my mom too. I was so young, but listen, I had a praying mama. Okay, so
same.
and I know you do too.
Mhm.
Now where how did you find a donor, or how did you find a donor? Because it seemed like,
God,
I mean, not
like,
like it was quick, but I was like, oh, I say Christian
and
about to get her,
that's why I said that was nothing but God, because like I went on the list. So you have to go through this whole evaluation
Yeah.
process to
Hmm.
even get on
Hmm.
the list, and I
Yeah.
was placed on the list in June of 2025.
Uh,
Um, and like I said, nobody was a match or able to give it, so I just was
okay.
on the list waiting for a donor to become available.
Wow.
And then they called me, and it's crazy. So the day that my that I was on the stage and I could feel my face twitching
Mm.
was October 2nd, and then I got Bell's palsy on October 3rd is when I woke up with it. October 3rd of 2025, I left work and got a call from John Hopkins that they found a donor
Come
for
on,
me.
Jesus.
And so I was like, that was God leaving his calling card. Like, I want
Yes.
you to know it's me, like a year to the date. So
Wow.
I didn't do anything. That was all God. And it just happened that my donor was trying to donate to someone else and wasn't a match
Really?
for that person. And they
Mm-hmm.
asked him, well, you're a match for this other candidate that we have. Are you willing to do it? And he said yes, which I'm like, that is crazy because
Wow.
I'm a complete stranger. You don't know me from Adam.
That's what I was about to
And
ask. Did you know the person?
no, I didn't know him at all. And he was donating to a relative of his wife. So it
Ah,
was like it wasn't even his, his direct relative that he was gonna
yes.
donate to, but he still, thought it not robbery to say, yes, I'll still
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's not even, he lives in North Carolina. So it's like you had to
Wow.
take off work, travel to
Come
Maryland
up.
to go under, like, so it was just, to me it was overwhelming because I was
Yeah.
like, it was so many. It's like, God did this, and then he touched this
Yeah.
person's heart in this climate that we live in this world that
Hmm.
we live in where people are so selfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
This person thought I was deserving,
Wow.
and without knowing, he didn't know they didn't tell him anything about me when they asked if he
Yeah.
would do it. They just said, you match this person.
Wow.
He said yes. And I'm like, you gotta be crazy. Cause I know I probably would have been like, no, no, thank you. But yeah, so it wasn't anything that I did.
Right.
That was all God. It was
Yes.
just,
Because I know, my cousin, she's been on the list for some time. I mean, really for
mhm,
some time. I was hoping she would be on tonight. But, you get weary and you just wonder, with you waiting and, doctor's visits, medication,
mhm.
physical change, like how did you stay, I'm going to say steadfast, faithful, and motivated through this?
I
Because
mean,
we do get weary.
yeah, being honest, I did have some weariness. It did seem like I
Yeah.
was just, every day facing my own mortality.
Yeah.
I'm getting up. Twice a week. I'm going to go get labs done to see where my levels are. And like I said,
Yes.
I'm literally being rated based off of how likely I am to die. Like, and so it's like
What?
that. Yeah, it's like, so that is like that's very more. It's hard to stay positive with that, but
Yeah.
it was family. It was, my mom constantly saying, and you don't want to hear it all the time. You like, stop with that optimism. You're not going through
Right.
it. But it was like that helped me. One
Yeah.
of the biggest things I'm big on community now, which is
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
because a year ago I was all about isolation. But I was big on I joined a group, a small group at my church because my
Okay.
pastor was always talking about, do life with people, don't do life alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, let's see what this is all about. So I joined a freedom group, and
Mm-hmm.
just I joined that in January. And then it was like by March, I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go to the group. I couldn't do anything. It was like I was just starting
Mm-hmm.
to put myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that really kind of kept me to, keep going was that the women of the group
Mm-hmm.
came to visit me in the hospital. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
barely knew them. They just knew I was in that group. They heard what was going on and they came, and
Yeah.
it was, and I don't even think they had all like talked to each other about it, but it was like
Right.
one by one, they would
Yeah.
come.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the group members, hopefully she doesn't get mad that I say her name, but Lindsay, she came to visit me, and she talked to me a lot during that season, and she would keep in touch, she would check in.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she reached out to me about hosting a group, which was
Wow.
funny because I had it in my heart, but I was like, I can't host a group right now because I'm
Yes.
sick and I
Yeah.
got this going on, and like I
Yes.
wouldn't be. And so it was just confirmation when God sent her to me about hosting the group.
Wow.
And so I did it. And doing that and having a group and a
Yeah.
purpose and people that I
Yeah.
can connect with and I can share with and they're sharing, that really got me through.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a big advocate for groups. I'm hosting a group
Yeah.
again
Come
this
on.
semester. So yeah, so it's like I'm still hosting a group. I'm, coaching
Yeah.
other people through it, but that really helped get me through as
But I
well
think
because
also, when
was
we
like I
share our
wasn't
testimony,
alone.
it's also you make it a difference for somebody else. You know what I mean? And then also to sharing your testimony, I believe that
Mhm.
oftentimes when you out there, like the devil can't use it against you anymore. Right? Because he gets in our head mentally and we can't do this and we can't do
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
It was it a source of freedom for you?
It was. So with Freedom Group, you go through this whole book series on like finding
Okay.
freedom. They talk about like the tree of life and like,
Okay.
heart, like where are you kind of in bondage. So like, is it your heart, like, is your heart hardened, is it this, your spiritual,
Okay.
like. And so they talk about all those different things, and at the end of it, my church holds a freedom conference. And so even
Mm.
though I would miss some of the groups, I still went to freedom conference. That was like nothing I had ever experienced, and it
Wow.
really was freeing. There was a lot that I didn't realize that I was holding on to, like things people had said to me over the years, like nicknames that people meant in term and like in loving ways that I
Yeah.
interpreted it as something
Something
harmful.
that
Just all
right.
these different things and emotions that I had harbored, I was able to get free of because I took the time to join that group, and because the women of the group didn't let me just walk away when
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, now I'm sick. So
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely freeing. It's still freeing because I'm still
Yeah.
growing from it. I'm still every day finding a little like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, there's a little spot that I need to work on."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, so
But
it's still constantly freeing for me. And more on like it made me focus more on that and becoming a better me than actually
yeah.
focusing on I have a disease and I have that. And so
Okay.
that wasn't really something I thought about every day unless I had a pain or something I had to
Yeah.
do. There were moments where it would come up and be like, this is hard. Like, I have these desires. Who's gonna want to marry me when I have
Mm,
this going on and I got an illness and I have that, and it's
yeah.
like, God would be like, but I didn't say that. I told you that you were gonna be good. And so it's all the renewing of the mind, and people in community they remind you of those things, and they keep you focused on that. And then it's also it lifts a weight to share with other people as well.
Okay. Yeah,
Sometimes just saying
absolutely.
something out loud can get it off of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you share on your social media platforms. What made
Mhm.
you decide to do that?
So one, it was too, like I said, it was too much of God involved in this that I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
share it. It was like
Mm-hmm.
I had to praise, I had to worship. It was like I couldn't contain it to myself. It was, like,
Yeah.
it's like the rocks crying out. Like if I don't say it, the rocks gonna tell y'all.
I'm gonna
But
cry. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like that. And so I think of like I think of the story of the woman at the well, when
Yeah.
Jesus met her and he came there to Samaria just for her, and he showed her all
Mm-hmm.
her whole life and everything, told her everything, and she took off running and was like, let me tell you about a man. That's the
Yes.
energy I felt of like, this is, I gotta tell y'all, like I have to
Yeah.
tell people. And it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was different for me, and it's still kind of uncomfortable because I, like I said, I was living a life in isolation. But it
Yes.
was like, but this is what's bringing me out of it, because like I can't let people go to the grave without experiencing what I
Mm-hmm.
experienced. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
need to know him
Yeah.
the way I know him to make a full
Yes.
decision before, and so it's like this urgency that I have, that by
Yeah.
telling my testimony, it'll save souls. It'll bring
Yeah.
people into relationship with
Yeah.
Christ. So that's really what it was.
Yeah.
Nothing about me, just like it was just too good that you couldn't share this story.
But also, sharing your testimony, it turns into evangelism. It, it
Yes.
it really, really does. It
Mhm.
turns into evangelism. You know, um, you know, I was for a long, long, long time didn't want to share my story because I was still dealing with internal issues, right?
Mhm.
And for a long time, suffered in silence,
Yeah.
right? But that wasn't a good place for me either. And God had to show me some things I didn't want to see, right? But He knows what's best for us. My favorite
Mhm.
scripture is Jeremiah 29:11. For He does know the plans. So,
Yes.
like Christian, He knew. I
Mhm.
always say God knew before I was in my mother's womb everything that I would go through. But God needs to use somebody as a vessel.
Right. Right.
You know, he needs to use somebody. It was like, okay, it's on you, it's on you now, Christian.
Yeah, and that's that's another overwhelming feeling that I get, because it's like, God, you think I'm that great that you want to use me? Like, that was one of the thoughts I had when I got the diagnosis. It was
Yeah.
like, you making me one of those? Like, I'm about to be one of those those believers that's gonna have a testimony like that. And
Yes.
that was in the moment, not knowing how he would do it. That was just thinking like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's gonna, my sister or somebody's gonna be a match and I'm gonna get a liver,
Yeah.
and not the way he did it. The way he did it is
Right.
I was able to look back and say he lined everything up
Yeah.
perfect. I mean, to the point that like I was living by myself. Me and my son had an apartment and everything.
Yeah.
We moved back home January of
Mm-hmm.
2025, and with my
Mm-hmm.
parents forcing me, I didn't want to come home. But again, he
Mm-hmm.
lined that up because he knew you're going to need to be at home. Like,
Yes.
you're gonna be out of work. You're gonna be that. Like, he lined everything up
Everything.
perfectly. And there's still things every day, like something will happen, and I'll be like, oh wow, like that directly came from that. And so it's good to share, because it tells me that like my life has purpose,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's going to impact someone else, which means their life has purpose because they're going to impact someone. Like, that's
Yeah.
the great commission. We need to go forth and make disciples of men. And
Yes.
it's like he does it by us living out the life that he intended for us,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
there will
Mm-hmm.
be hardships, there'll be this, but we have to push through it in order to get
Mm-hmm.
that next person to where they need to
Mm-hmm.
be. It's not always about us.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my story is
And
not
it's
just about me
that's
being
true.
healed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I say that too, that nobody can tell our story like we can. Nobody can tell
Right.
our testimony like we can. But I believe, and maybe I don't know if what you think about this, that our story also belongs to somebody else, right?
Hmm.
When I talk to other people that have ostomy bags or whatever,
Hmm.
it's nothing like sharing with people that's walking in your shoes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's nothing like our story is our story, but we have
Yes.
to share it. We, as a Christian, as believers, we have to share it. And you tell it in your time, right? A lot of people, they maybe a lot of people are not on where you are, but
Right.
you're just starting to tell it and you're starting to share it. And it's for reasons that we don't even know yet. That we
Yes.
don't even know yet. Thank you everybody for coming on Motivation Monday. We're talking to Christian Mitchell, and she's sharing her journey, liver disease, and we're talking about her liver transplant. But we're talking about a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Um, Now, like, how has your perspective on health, life, priorities changed since the transplant?
So, one, I'm big on that we have to be, especially as Black women, we
Yeah.
have to be our own advocate.
Oh,
And that changed a lot. I mean, even in the hospital, there I had like an infection, and
okay.
my labs were coming back great. They were like, oh, the numbers are looking good, and I kept saying, but I don't feel good, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel right. And this is after the transplant, so everyone wants it, and I wanted it to go well and just be ready to go
Yeah.
home, but I
Yeah.
kept saying like, no, I don't feel good. Before, I would have just been like, oh well, the labs look good, I'm just gonna go with what they
Mm-hmm.
say. But
Mm-hmm.
after that experience, I'm like, no, I'm going to advocate for myself. I'm
Yeah.
going to, say that I know my body. My mom said I
Mm-hmm.
sound like Olivia from the Cosby Show. I know my body. But but I was like, I know my body, and I know when something's
Yes.
wrong, and like a lab can't tell me, this can't tell me. And sure
Yeah.
enough,
Yeah.
I had like two types of infections. And so
Wow.
they had to treat me with that before I could go home. But
Mm-hmm.
so now I'm really big on, paying attention to that. I do have to pay attention to what I take in my body,
Yeah.
because there's certain things
Mm-hmm.
that can impact my health. There's certain things that can
Yes.
react badly to the medications that I take.
Yes.
So I'm really annoying about it, especially like even with my family. I'm like, no, we
Yeah.
all need to eat better. We all need to do these things, because you get one life, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it makes it
Absolutely.
harder when you don't take care of it. And I believe God wants us to, He's like,
Yeah.
this is your body, you
Yes.
know. It's a living sacrifice. And a lot of times people talk about that in like a sexual nature. But I'm like, no, he means that in all aspects. Like, this is
Yes.
your temple. What are you
Yes.
eating? What are what
Mhm.
are you watching? What's
Mhm.
influencing you?
Mhm.
So I'm really particular about that. Even like with music, I love music.
Yeah.
I'm like, I certain things disturb my soul, where it's like I used to
Yeah.
be able to listen to it all the time.
Yes.
I can't listen to it now. I'm like,
Mhm.
even I love me some Beyonce. I can't even like
Yeah,
listen to my Beyonce as
yeah,
much as I used
yeah,
to. After a while, I'm like, okay, let me go back to my Maverick City. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, you know, I'm like, so I'm really different on
Yeah,
like how I take care of myself emotionally, physically,
yeah,
mentally, spiritually. And I'm also highly aware of that. I've toned it down a little bit because it was a little
yeah.
aggressive, but I'm highly aware of that when it comes to the next generation because I'm like,
Okay.
I want you guys to have the tools
Yeah.
so that when you're older or you come into these things, you're not having to
Hmm.
learn it like I'm learning it now. You already have
Yeah.
it,
Hmm.
So but like with my son, my nieces, my
Yeah.
niece, my nephews, I'm always like, I want them to know God in a way that when they do
Yeah.
have obstacles, that they're already
Hmm.
standing firm in it.
But I believe also to, God have us to go through these
Hmm.
experiences because, like you said, we not only have to teach, but we have to show the next generation. It's so different, especially, during my time, but it's so different now. And so again, we have to protect it. I'm with you, and I gotta get on that train too, girl. Come on, close your ears to certain stuff. Listen, I ain't gonna get on here
Yeah.
and say I don't, but you're absolutely
Hmm.
right because we have to protect ourselves mentally, emotionally,
Hmm.
So I'm with you. I'm gonna get on the train, Christian.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, I'm not perfect with it but it's just
Yeah,
like, I'll be listening to something and then I'll be like, you know what? Guard your heart. Like, this is not,
yeah,
or, I'm
important.
scrolling on Instagram and I'm like, you know what? It's time to get off. Like
Yeah,
it,
yes,
and
yes.
and I think about it with the next generation so much because I'm like, the world
Mhm.
that they'll be adults in is going to be worse than the world we have now.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I
yes,
think about like if my parents would have known what the world would look like for
yes.
me, they probably would
Mm-hmm.
have, prepared us differently. We
Mm-hmm.
would have known that we would have had recessions and 9/11
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and all this different things. But, we
Yeah,
had a really nice childhood and didn't prepare for that.
right.
And so
Yeah,
I'm like, I want them to have a nice childhood, but I
yeah.
want them to also know like who they belong to. And so when the
Absolutely,
time those things happen,
absolutely,
it
absolutely.
doesn't frazzle them.
Our viewers, thank you. Oh, we got a lot of viewers. Thank you so much. But if you guys have any questions, please, you have any questions for Christian, put them in the comments, and we'll address it. I have a question. Another. Now, how do you manage like the long-term risk,
Hmm.
like infections or organ rejection?
Hmm.
What does that look like day to day?
So okay, so I can go through my whole little routine.
Yeah,
So
please,
every
yes.
morning, and this is like the thing I got try to get people to understand is that a
Mhm.
liver transplant is not a cure.
Okay.
It's just a change of lifestyle. So it's like you
Okay.
give up one thing. So it's like I no longer have PSC, but now I'm a liver transplant recipient. So my life looks different because of this. So every morning when I wake up, the first thing I have to do is my vitals. So I have to
Mhm.
take my blood pressure, I have to take my temperature, and I have to take my
Mhm.
weight. That sucks because like what woman wants to check her weight every day?
Mhm.
It's like every day. So I have to do that every day and I have to do it every night before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, I take my medications.
Okay.
They've taken me off some of the medications, but it's
Yeah.
still like I'm like taking like 20 different pills or things
Yeah.
a day. And I take them in the morning and at night as well.
Okay.
And that's constant. They're always checking labs and stuff to see like if I need a dosage to go up, go down. Some
Mhm.
things are always
Mhm.
changing. So
Mhm.
we manage it with that. So I'm on anti-rejection medications,
Okay.
which suppress my immune system. So then it means
Um.
I'm at higher risk for infections and
Actions.
diseases.
Mhm.
So then I have to take like anti-infection and things like that as well. So I take those. Most of those
Mm.
medications have side effects that cause other things. So then I have to take medications to overcome those
Uh.
side effects. so
Mhm.
um so it's like a whole cocktail of medications that I take that
Okay.
do help with that. I've been very
Yeah.
blessed in that in the hospital I did have an infection, but once they got rid of that I've been very healthy. Like labs have come back well, things they've been kind of like stagnant, but for the most part I'm doing well compared to what where they
Okay.
think I should be or where other people are.
Yes.
I don't always feel as well as I look.
Okay.
Sometimes you can look really good and be like,
Yes.
yes, I'm exhausted. But it's like I feel a lot better than what I felt like with liver disease. Like I felt
uh,
tired constantly. The
yeah.
tiredness I feel now feels more like I did a lot all day. And that's because my body is working in overdrive because one, I got a
mm.
piece of a liver, I didn't get a whole liver. So my liver has to
Ah,
grow and my body's healing and it's getting rid of like the like my skin complexion came back, my eye color came
yeah,
back, like all of
yeah.
that. So my body is doing a lot of work itself.
Mhm.
So then I have to take stuff for that, like vitamin D and things like that to give me nutrients. And then I have to be really particular with what I eat. Like there's certain foods that I
Diet,
can't
like
eat.
what you mhm.
Yeah. So I can't eat like raw things. Like I can't go to Subway. I can't
Okay.
do like buffets and things like that.
Okay.
Food that stays out.
Yeah.
I can't eat anything past 3 days. So like leftovers. After
Yeah.
the third day, I have to throw it out. I can't
Oh,
eat it because
wow.
it can get bacteria. Yeah.
Okay.
So food is
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
it's like that. Like they're like, if I order DoorDash and stuff like that, I have to
Yeah.
eat it that day. And then if there's anything left over, I can't maintain that because it's like I didn't
Mm.
prepare it. Yeah, so it's just like a long list of
That's
things.
a
I
long,
can't
long.
eat pomegranates, which that's the thing that upsets me the most. I love pomegranates. But but everything else that came off the list was typically something I was like, oh, I can live without it. But the pomegranates,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man. Like
Wow. But
but yeah, so
of
like the
often that's the
I'm sorry.
sacrifices, that comes
Yeah.
along with it. Regina, my god sister's on here. She was like, yes, I have to do that as well because she had a transplant as well. And
Uh-huh.
then one of our viewers was like, thank you, I won't complain anymore about medication I take, and I will do better. No, she said I will do better starting tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow. That's hilarious.
And she said all the things I have to watch out for too. Regina, she again, she's like,
Mhm.
because she had a transplant as well.
Yeah.
um Now, what have, and I think oftentimes, what we go through things in life. I mean, some things are traumatic. Some, we just go through a lot.
Mhm.
What have you learned, like through
Mhm.
this journey? And I know your journey, it's going to continue, right? But
Yeah.
thus far, even through the sickness, surgery,
Mhm.
all these medications and stipulations, like even through that, what have you learned through this journey?
So I've learned that I'm really strong, and it's
Mhm.
funny because my aunt said it to me about 2 years ago, before everything kind of
Yeah.
spiraled. She, just kind of looked me in the eye and was like, "You're stronger than you think you are, and than people think you are."
Ah.
And I've always kind of felt like the runt of the litter. I'm like the smallest sister. I'm the,
Ah.
kind of one or trying to figure out. I'm like, I keep having to move back home. I'm not married. I'm not like, it's all these different
Yeah.
things that have told me that I'm less than. And
Um,
going through this journey, I'm like, I'm seeing like not only am I strong physically, because it's like I learned that I have a very high pain tolerance. Like I
uh,
always thought like I didn't, but I'm like, oh no, I got a really high pain tolerance where stuff
yeah.
that people would be like, oh no. But I've learned that I can do a lot with God. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of me
Yeah.
muscling through life before, but I'm
Yeah.
like I'm resilient. There's a lot to me.
Yeah.
There's this huge personality. There's this like this willpower. There's this charisma. There's this
Yeah.
beauty there. I'm learning, like I always joke that like I'm not a people person. I don't like people. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm leading groups and things like that. And so it's like I'm learning that everything that I thought I was just
Yeah.
a trick of the devil. The devil
Okay.
telling me, this is who
But
you
you're
are,
not.
this is that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, that's not who
Mm-hmm.
Kristen is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rediscovering, I keep saying I'm rediscovering that little girl because as a little girl, I was all of
Mm-hmm.
these things. And it's
Mm.
like I let it get chipped away at over time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, nope, she's back. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll keep saying, I'm like, the devil should have took me out when he had the chance. Because I'm like, I'm too confident now. But it's like I
Yeah.
really have seen how resilient I am. And it
Yeah.
makes me encouraged and hopeful for the future because I'm like, well,
Yes.
if this was, this is how
Mm-hmm.
I was able to get through this, the next thing that tries to take me out, that's going to just elevate me higher. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
But
been
I think these are the things that God instill in us, and like you said, your aunt said, you are stronger than what you know. But we hear sometimes we say it's a cliche. You are
yeah.
strong, you're stronger than what you think you are,
Mhm.
but it really is true because
Mhm.
these are the things God already has in us.
Right.
It takes time for us to discover it, but it's
Mhm.
already in us. But
Yeah.
sometimes people, places, and things knock us down, and we get back into that shell.
Right.
But listen, listen, this is what I'm going to say to you now. Like, get ready. Like,
Mhm.
you doing these smaller groups, but Christian, I'm telling you, and I'm a witness, and I'm not saying this just to be saying this or because of our
Mhm.
conversation, but I'm saying it because it is true. You know,
Mhm.
your smaller groups going to turn into bigger groups, and you know, so I mean, get ready.
Yeah. I mean, I pray about it all the time. I'm like, God, use me the way you want to use me, but give me the
uh,
tools to be,
ah,
to be ready for that, and I'm like, I
yes.
want it all to be for his glory, because
Oh,
so often
absolutely,
you
it
see
has to
people,
be.
yeah, you see people get into those spaces and it becomes about them, and I never want it to be about me, and I
Mhm,
never want the
mhm.
focus to be on me. And I think maybe that's why he made me the way I am, where I felt like
Ah,
I needed to be isolated. It's like, okay, no, you don't need that praise, but you can go out here and tell your story and get,
yeah,
and win
yeah.
souls for Christ without getting too big headed,
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
that's the prayer.
as my pastor always say this, y'all gotta take that I out. You gotta like I this, I that. And then I have to admit, when I first started like kind of speaking and it
Mhm.
was I was like, oh, no, I
Mhm.
didn't bring you this far. And my mom always say, whatever you do in life, whatever you do, like you have to
Mhm.
give God the glory because
Right.
you wouldn't be where you are if it had not been for me.
Yes,
So
exactly.
we gotta watch that. um and I want to back up just a tiny bit. Like, do you feel like what is your biggest daily challenge, or do
Mhm.
you consider them challenges?
Um, I don't consider anything a challenge. I'm feeling like everything is a new way of life
Ah,
that I'm learning how to navigate.
mm,
And I think right now the biggest thing is just that I'm tired, like, and it'll come out of
okay.
nowhere. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I'm not a person who does naps. I've never been that person.
um
I've been able to muscle through things and be like,
yeah.
oh, I can just, keep going, and then I'll sleep on the,
Hmm,
and I can't do,
hmm.
like, my body is literally driving this thing. And
Yeah.
so that's been really hard for me because I'm so used to relying on Kristen and
Yeah,
relying on that I can do it, and
yeah.
like, I'm gonna get it done.
Hmm.
It's That's been really difficult for me, and having to rely on the support of others. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not working right now, so I'm on unpaid leave.
Mm.
My parents are supporting me. That is really hard for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm used to being able to be like, I need money. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna get some money. Me and Eli gonna be
Yes.
good. I can't do that now. I'm just like, I have to ask, and I'm like, yep, that's God. He's teaching me how to
Hmm.
be humble enough to ask for
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to drive for a few months after the
Hmm.
procedure. That I don't like that at all. I'm one of them people that's
Yeah.
like, I want to be able to go. I don't want to go. I mean, my son's school called me one day about an incident, and I was literally in tears because I could
Wow.
not hop
Because
in
you
the car
couldn't.
and get there. And
Wow.
again, it was God showing me, because he was fine. It was
Yeah.
like issue had been resolved, and he worked it out on his own.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to my therapist, like, I had such a problem with that I was not
Hmm.
involved in it. And like you said, you got to take the I out of it, because it's like, why
Yeah.
did I
Yes.
need to be involved
Right.
for it to
Right.
be okay? So that's been like the hardest. It hasn't been anything really physical. All of that
Okay.
stuff, I'm like, I know God will take care of. I know it's a
Yeah.
part. I have like that A type personality, and it's like, if I can understand something, I'm
Yes.
fine. And so it's like, if I can see a list of symptoms and I'm like, yep, that's what I feel, I'm cool.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but it's the part of like, I'm in this season of like unknowing of, okay, like, I'm not at work, I'm not doing this.
Hmm.
It's just a stillness of like me
Hmm.
and God every day.
Hmm.
And, and
Hmm.
it's like, okay, I got my doctor's appointments and my labs and things like that,
Yeah.
but this stillness of not being able, of Kristen not being able to resolve
Right.
problems, of not being able to make things work, not being able to just go do what
Hmm.
she want. It's like, I had all this time that I've never had, but I don't have the money
Right.
to go out and do the things I would
Right.
do.
Right. Look,
But
God
it's
said you don't need nobody, no money. Just sit here. It's just me and you,
Yeah,
right?
he just like, sit still, just read your Bible, and you'll be
Yeah.
okay. So like, that's been hard for me, because I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so used to,
Used
for
to.
years
Yes.
I've been that strong black independent woman who,
Yes.
like, and he's like, nope. you still strong,
Mhm.
but we taking out the
Yes.
independence and we,
Yes.
you're
Yes.
relying on me.
Yeah.
So that's, it's been humbling.
Yeah.
It's been, like every day it's like a realization of more about me.
Mhm.
Like I came to the realization that, pride can look different. Like I wasn't prideful in the sense of like I'm all of that and da 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 da. But
Mhm.
I had the pride in the sense of like I can work out my problems if something
Mm.
comes up. And I'm like, yeah, that's pride. And I didn't realize it until I was put in this situation and I couldn't work out my problems.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, like it's been difficult, and every day something will come up. The enemy will throw
Yeah.
something in there that'll make you like, ooh, and I have
Yeah.
to be like, okay, it's gonna be okay. Like just
Yeah. Don't overreact.
yeah,
I
don't
look, I
just
got you.
yeah, like just
I got,
it's not that serious. Just calm down. Let's see it
yeah.
go things out. But that's been hard for me. But
Yeah.
it's a process. We're
Yeah, yeah,
working through
yeah,
it.
yeah. Now we were talking before backstage, and I was asking about work,
Mhm.
and you'll be going back, I guess,
Mhm.
soon. How you feel about that? Are you ready?
So right now, I mean, I'm nervous about it just because, like I
Yeah.
said, I get tired at like 11 o'clock in the
Uh,
morning. It's like by that point, I'm like, I need a bed. Like I'm feeling
ah.
that at that point during the day, um, or literally not doing anything until that point, just to
Hmm.
reserve energy. So I'm a little nervous about that, and just
Yeah.
what that looks like. How
Yeah.
interactive with. I work at a high school, so
Hmm.
it's like being dropped in the middle of like a huge
High school
population.
too.
Yeah, it's like, they don't care nothing about me or my illness and things like that.
Right.
So I'm like, right now I'm surrounded by people who are like, they care for me. They're
Yeah. Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
out for me. They're like, okay, make sure like, oh, everybody's washing their hands a billion times
Mhm.
to make sure that I stay healthy. When I
Yeah.
go back to work, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
There will be people who
Right.
care about me, but it won't be in the same sense. So I am
Mm.
nervous about that a lot.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do what God tells me to do and what He
Yeah.
directs me to do in that space and
Yes.
that
Yes.
setting.
Yes.
And I'm like, who knows? There may be someone there who needs to see me come back and
Yeah.
see what oh, this is what Miss Mitchell looked like before. This is what she's
Yeah.
like afterwards, and seeing like that transformation and that I
Yeah.
walked through that.
Hmm. When
So
you I'm gonna show like a few quick pictures. One time when you was talking about how you looked before,
yeah.
like this is this before and
Hmm.
after, because we reflect back
Hmm.
the yesterdays, or even a week before, 2 weeks before, even during your surgery. And this
Hmm.
is another photo too, that
Yes.
I thought was really, really nice. Was this after your surgery?
Yes. So the first picture is literally me. That's date. So this one, the first one where it says before, that is in
Yeah.
August of 2024.
Okay.
So that's not even like the year that the face froze and everything. Well, no, that's
Um,
it's a few months before the face froze.
okay.
But it's when I went and saw that picture and did a comparison, I told my mom, I said,
Yes.
I was dying in front of people's face. And I was like, you were the only one who said something. Like
Right.
I
Yes.
was literally dying looking at that. And then the other picture is me. It's like I was like, that's no filter, that's just me. And then the one in the hospital with the nose, that's me after
Yeah.
surgery. That's day one of
Mm.
post transplant. And then that's literally 2 months to the day afterwards.
Wow.
So it's a huge. I mean, I talked to one guy at my church when I had shared my story that I was going to be getting a liver transplant. One of the members of my church came up to me and he said, like, I'm 3 years out. And he didn't look like he had had any kind of transplant or anything. So I just was, asking him a bunch of questions. And he
Yeah.
told me, he said, you will start to feel better literally
Um.
in the hospital. You'll start to see the difference. And he was right. Like I would go into the bathroom and I would see like my skin was a shade lighter from the day before. My eyes,
Mm.
I could see like that was the first thing people would come visit me and they'd be like, your eyes are so bright. Like
Mm.
it
Mm-hmm.
was just such a change. Like I could see it and like my skin got softer. It wasn't as like rigid.
Yeah.
Each
It's kind of,
day.
it's like you kind of describing, like, as we say, you're in the dark, but God is just leading you to that light. It's
Right.
just that transformation that God does in our life. Like, oh,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, it's a physical, like he did a spiritual transformation, but it was a
yeah.
physical one too because
Ah,
I like to believe that he wants everyone to see and witness
ah,
it as well. And it's like so I can show you clear as day
Yeah.
I was in darkness, and
Wow.
like you can see it, you can't deny it that
Yeah.
there was a change. And I had nothing to do with that. The doctors
Hmm.
can't make me go from one shade to the next shade. They
Right.
can't do.
Right.
All they can do is aid me with it and do the procedures, but they can't,
Yes.
guarantee that that's what's going to save my life and change things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's and even I'll look at pictures from December, which was after my transplant, to today, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
wow, like that's different too. So
Yes.
I started looking at pictures from 2018 because I'm like, well, what am I supposed to look like?
Right.
Because it's been so many years. I'm like, how am I supposed to look like? I've
Yeah.
lost all this weight, and I'm like, so I wasn't even supposed to be fat. Like I was just,
Yeah.
I was like, that was all the disease. I'm like, what else was the disease? Like
Right.
it's
God,
crazy.
you supposed to look as God healed, a healed woman,
Yes.
And so, listen, it's been and I also wanted to bring you on because I want people to see God's miracle
Hmm.
because he performs as a song, he performs miracles so great,
Yes.
And so I wanted
Yes.
people to see, and we have a lot of people comment, and thank you all so much for joining tonight. But I wanted people to see like the goodness and God's
Mhm.
healing,
Mhm.
and it makes you feel so good when and I only saw like a little bit with the transformation of you like
Mhm.
online, but and I was telling you early just to see, I can't give you a hug or anything that a hug, but just to
Mhm.
see you from where you were to
Yeah.
where you are now. So it has been amazing. And no matter what, our journey is our journey, but it's one that God has given us,
Yeah.
right? And one that God is using, our
Hmm.
testimony first, again, as I said, for his glory, but to help somebody else. Now, I
Hmm.
always ask my viewers to give us something, something to our viewers, that person that, like, we do have somebody on here that has gone through a liver transplant, or even, as I mentioned, my cousin who's been waiting, she's been
Yeah.
waiting for a long time, or that person waiting for a donor, or anybody that's suffering with a disease or
Hmm.
diagnosis, with your story, your testimony, your transformation, all of that. What can you leave with our viewers?
So I would like to say, keep pushing, keep
Mm-hmm.
fighting, because you don't know when that day comes, and you
Yeah.
could just be one push away from
Hmm.
the outcome.
Mm.
It's like it. You could be right there, and you walk away
Yeah.
from it. So keep pushing, keep praying, keep fasting. Just
Yeah.
keep just stay steadfast on it, because you
Yes.
never know. I mean, my journey was quick with the
Yeah.
disease part, but what people don't realize is that I was going through for 10 years.
Mm.
10 years of just one thing after the other, and the disease was just the icing on the cake. But it was
Ah.
like, nah, I'm gonna keep chipping away, I'm gonna keep pushing, I'm gonna keep believing. And it was when I chose in that moment to keep pushing through, that's when God showed up and revealed
Ah.
himself and was like, yes, this
Yeah.
is what this is what you've been pushing for. And it happens in cycles over and over and over again. But I'm like, just
Mm-hmm.
I just want everyone to know from my story to keep pushing, keep
Mm-hmm.
praying. It will
Mm-hmm.
come, and it's going to come in the way that God has it for
God
you, not
has
the
it
way
for us.
you expect it.
Yes, yes. Oh man, it's been wonderful. My aunt was like, I like that anthology, transformation to transform. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And who's Miss Deborah Moore? I'm so proud of you, Auntie
That's my
Godmommy. Love
godmommy.
you. Ah, she said that, Auntie Godmommy.
Like
um,
godmommy.
and on behalf of Pushing Myself, we thank you all for coming on tonight. Again, I thank you, sis, for coming on and sharing. And I'm just gonna say it again. We know God knows the plans that He has for us. I'm
Mhm.
just honestly, I just want to keep saying that. Get ready, right?
Yes.
Get ready, because more people need to hear it.
Mhm.
um and I don't know if you belong to any Facebook groups,
Mhm.
but check out a couple of those too. You can make a difference there. Thank you, Angie. Awesome testimony. Yes, it is an awesome
Thank
testimony.
you.
And Angie is one of my close friends, and she's gone through a lot, surgeries and a lot. And so I'm glad she came on tonight. But I'm mighty glad that you came on tonight to share with
Yes.
us. It's been a pleasure. I thank you so much. And get ready. That's all I got to
But
say.
thank
Get
you
ready.
again, and thank you for
Yeah.
creating this space. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
space for people to
Thank you
learn.
so much. I
So,
appreciate you. I'm going to put you backstage and I'm going to come back. Okay.
okay.
All right. Thank you so much again. Oh gosh, that was so wonderful. And I'm gonna tell you another reason why I wanted Christian to come on tonight, because oftentimes you need something too, and so I needed to hear that. I really needed to hear that. I really needed to hear her testimony, because just to give me, like she said, keep pushing, keep praying, and so I take that. I'm taking that. And I'm taking. I put post-it notes all over my job, so I'll probably put that right there. Keep pushing, keep praying, stay steadfast. And so, if you know someone that needs to hear this, please, you can go back and you can view it again. You can go on YouTube. You can go back on my Facebook. And so I thank you all again for joining. And I thank you. I appreciate your comments. I really do. We have one more Talk Tuesday. We're going back to Tuesday. We're going back to Talk Tuesday on next week. So I have these group of friends that I want you to meet. So get ready for that. So again, and I thank God mostly for giving me the vision of Talk Tuesday. This is, y'all, we in season 6. Oh my gosh. This is the 6th year for Talk Tuesday. Look, I'm in another spot in my house. And so we getting some things worked out with Talk Tuesday, a new scenery, new background. We working out some things, but I thank God again for giving me the vision and where He's taken me with Talk Tuesday. So again, I thank you all for joining. Please, again, have a good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you may be in this world. I thank you so much for joining. Okay, good night.